Hi guys, welcome to this video tutorial on polymorphism. So in this video we are going to be looking at polymorphism in details. So what is polymorphism? Polymorphism is the property by which objects can take on many different forms during their life cycle. So we cannot discuss polymorphism without looking at a real life example. So let's look at the butterfly example. So a butterfly can exist in 4 different forms. You see that it can exist as a butterfly, it can exist as egg, it can exist as caterpillar, and it can exist as chrysalis. So now, during the very first stage, it exists as egg, and then it later transforms into a caterpillar, and then from a caterpillar it transforms to a chrysalis, and from a chrysalis it transforms now to a butterfly. So now, let's look at polymorphism in Java. So I would like to go straight to this structure so that we can use this structure to look at how polymorphism is implemented in Java. Let's say we have 2 classes A and B and then an interface I. Then the class A implements the interface I, and then the class B extends the class A. This means that class A is inheriting from the interface I, and then B is inheriting from the interface A, from the class A. Now, when B inherits from A and A inherits from I, means that A is the child of I, and then B is the indirect child of I, and B is the direct child of A. So in this situation, you see that A can take on 2 different forms. So A, an object of A, can take the form of I and can also take the form of A. So you see that we are assigning an object of A to a reference variable of type A, and then we are also assigning an object of A to a reference variable of type T. Then let's look at B. You see that B can take on 3 different forms. It's taking the form of B, and then it's taking the form of A, and it's also taking the form of I. So you see that we are having 3 different objects of B, and when B takes the form of I, then this object can only access the properties that were defined in I. Now, when B takes the form of A, then we can only access the properties that were defined in A. Now, when B takes the form of B, then we can have access to the properties that exist in the object B, because some of those properties were inherited from A and also from I. So it's good to know that with polymorphism, objects can exist in different forms based on the classes or interfaces that they inherit from. Okay guys, so it's important to note that if B takes the form of I, then if a certain method that was defined in I and overridden in B exists, then when you say B.that member or .that method, only the method that was defined in B is going to be called. So what I'm trying to explain here is that if a method is overridden in the child class, then whether it takes the form of the parent or the form of the child, the overridden version will always be called. By saying the overridden version, I mean the method or the version of the method in the child class will always be called at runtime. So it's important to note this when working with polymorphism. So guys, let's use this example to look at the practical implementation of polymorphism. So you see that we have 2 classes. We have the class animal, and then we have the class lion that extends animal. So this one is just like our test class. The poly class is like a test class. So in the test class, we have created 2 objects of lion, and then the first object of lion is taking the form of animal, since we are assigning it to a reference of type animal, and then the second object is taking the form of lion, since we are assigning it to a reference of type lion. So now you see that we can say l.raw. So if you say l.raw, it compiles. But if you say a.raw, it doesn't compile.